You can add to your notes from the video. That's fine. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Marvelous. All right. Example 4. Example 4. Example 4. All right. 10x squared plus 70x divided by 36 minus 6x times x squared minus 2x minus 24 divided by 10x squared plus 40x in first period, the very first thing they said was cancel those 10x squareds. That's not good. What did they do? They killed a puppy. And what should we do, Liliana, instead? We should factor. Because right now we've got things written as fractions. We almost have them written in descending order. There's one spot I see that's not quite right. Okay, so that needs to be fixed. Okay, so we can't forget what we learned the first day, and what we learned the first day is you got to factor before you start canceling stuff out. You have to rewrite it as a multiplication problem. So what type of factoring is used for most of these?
For GCF.
GCF is for most of these. So if I look at the top, what's the GCF? 10x. Okay, so we're going to take out the 10x, and what do we get?
X plus 7.
And then on the bottom, we know that if there's a leading coefficient that's negative, you take out the negative.
So you get negative 6x minus 6.
So we can take out negative 6 from the bottom because there is still a GCF of 6. So since it starts with a negative, we got to take out the negative. The GCF was already 6, so we're going to go ahead and take out a negative 6. And then when we take out that negative 6, what does it leave behind?
X minus 6.
X minus 6. Okay. I'm going to skip the top for now. What do we notice about the bottom? GCF of 10x. Okay, and what's left over? X plus 4. Okay. And then for the other one, we have to say, okay, we want to know what multiplies to negative 24 but adds to negative 2. 6 and 4, what are the signs? Negative 6. Okay, so x minus 6, x plus 4. Okay, now we can go ahead and say if there's something multiplied on the top, something multiplied on the bottom, we can cancel those with division. So what are the things that cancel? X minus 6, I heard. What else? X plus 4. 10x. So it was this one and this one. It was not the one in the front. Very good. Okay, so on the top, what's left over?
X plus 7.
Okay, and then what's left over on the bottom?
Negative 6.
Okay, now that is a great answer. A lot of math people would take that negative and they would move it to the top of the fraction. It's not wrong for it to be on the bottom, but most math people don't leave it on the bottom. It's kind of like writing somebody's name without putting a capital letter in the front. Like it's not wrong. We still we know what your name is, but it's kind of weird. Does that make sense? So what most math people do is they'd move it to the top. And then once it was moved to the top, they would probably distribute it. Negative x minus 7 over 6. Your answer is right if you leave it the first way. That is right. But if you were doing a multiple choice question, my guess is that this is the one that would be the answer choice you would choose. They probably would not even have that as an answer choice. So I just want you to recognize, yes, I wrote this as my answer, But when I see that for a multiple choice answer, I'm like, oh yeah, I got it right. I just wrote it different. Yeah.
For practice, which would you rather have us?
If you are someone who recognizes it easily, then don't worry about it. But if you have a hard time seeing it, then I would practice moving the negative to the top. Okay. All right, example 5. For this one, we're going to say x squared minus 1 divided by x squared plus x minus 12.
Do you have any pieces of paper? Because there's no more pieces of paper.
There you go. So x squared minus 1 over x squared plus x minus 12 divided by 3x minus 3 over x plus 4. I feel like I'm hearing myself in surround sound. Does it bring back happy memories from being at home? Yeah. All right. It's a division problem. It's a division problem. What do we do first? Okay. So we're going to keep it. Keep it, change it to a multiplication problem, flip the second fraction. And this problem has like all different types of factoring.
Yeah.
How do we factor the top?
Difference of squares.
Wait a little bit, okay. Difference of squares for the top. So what are the factors for the top?
X minus 1, x plus 1.
Okay. What do we do for the bottom?
X minus 3x plus 4.
Okay, somebody other than Robbie, tell me what Robbie did. Mm-hmm. 4, negative 3. Okay. So x plus 4, x minus 3. Okay. X plus 4 on the top stays. If it feels weird for it to not be in parentheses, for it to just be written like that, you can go ahead and put parentheses around it so you can think of it as like one group. It's one thing. 3x minus 3. 3 is a GCF, and then what's left over? X minus 1. Okay, and now we start to cancel. So on the bottom we have, or actually overall, what do we have overall?
X plus 1 over x minus 3 times 3.
Okay, so that's a good answer. What's another answer you could have?
X plus 1 over 3x minus 3.
Okay. Both of those are good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you care which?
I don't. I tend to go with this one because I'm lazy. Why multiply it out if you don't have to?
Exactly.
But like, I tend to simplify everything as far as possible because I'm worried that if I don't, you never say how much you want it simplified, so I'm worried that if I don't simplify it as far as I can, I won't have to simplify it enough.
Well, opinions on which one of these is more simple, like we could debate that.
Yeah.
So some people are going to say this is more simple because the numbers are smaller.
Yeah.
Some people are going to say this is more simple because there's no parentheses.
I would say that.
Yeah. So and it can go either way.
Right.
So when we say how far do I simplify it, that's kind of vague. Because technically we simplified it the furthest we could. We made it so we couldn't cancel anything at least.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
All right. So example 6, we're going to show some negative exponents because they threw this on the EOC and I thought it was weird. X squared minus 36 to the negative 2 divided by x minus 6 to the negative 2. And that's being divided by x plus 6 to the negative 1 over x squared plus 7x plus 6 to the negative 1.
Do the exponents cancel or is that a puppy code?
Puppies would be killed there.
Laughing.
Yeah. Anyone remember negative exponents and what they do? Fractions, kind of. Do you remember how to make them positive? I don't know what that means.
It means move to the denominator.
Yeah. So you just move it to the other side. So what you do, if you have x minus 6 to the negative 2 on the bottom, then that would be x minus 6 to the positive 2 on the top. If you have x squared minus 36 to the negative 2 on the top, then that would be x squared minus 36 to the positive 2 on the bottom. Now, I still have a division problem because all I'm doing is I'm fixing the negative exponents right now. So I'm not fixing the fact that it was division. So then I've got x plus 6 to the positive 1 and x squared plus 7x plus 6 to the positive 1. When you have an exponent of positive 1, do you even need the 1? No. And then since we've gotten rid of the 1, do we really even need those parentheses? No. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those. Yes, Robbie?
Since it's a division problem, did you even have to like switch it?
We didn't do it yet because we were taking care of the exponents,
Okay.
but we are going to do that in just a moment.
So it's just going to go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Instead
Okay.
of the exponents are gonna be-
Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, it's a division problem. Let's do keep it, change it, flip it. So x minus 6 squared over x squared minus 36 squared. Change it to a multiplication problem. Flip the second fraction. Okay. Now, when I have an exponent of 2, what does that actually mean? There's 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble out this exponent of 2. I'm just going to write that twice.
Right.
Scribble out my exponent of 2. Write it twice.
And then you can also.
All right, so on the top, x minus 6, x minus 6. Yeah, what do you get when you square or factor that? X squared minus 36. What is it?
X plus 6.
Yeah, it's difference of squares. So we get x plus 6, x minus 6. So that was for the first one.
And then you do it again.
And then we get the same thing for the second one, x plus 6, x minus 6. So there was a lot more going on there than maybe we would have expected.
Right.
X plus 6. Yeah.
Can like one x minus 6 on the top cancel both x minus 6?
Because that'd be kind of like, oh, I have 6 on the top and 36 on the bottom, and 6 cancels out the whole 36.
Okay.
You'd be like, no, it doesn't. It cancels out 6, and then you still have a 6 left over. Yeah. All right, so we've got x plus 6, and then over here we're saying what multiplies to 6 but adds to 7. So x plus 6, x plus 1. If having an x plus 6 all by itself on top feels weird, you can go ahead and put parentheses around it for when you do your canceling. And so what cancels? We got a lot going on here. X plus 6, x plus 6. X minus 6, x minus 6. X minus 6, x minus 6. That's all. Okay. There is nothing on the top. So what do I write for the top? 1. Okay. So I'm going to write, I don't have space over there. Put it on the other side. So I'm going to say this equals 1 over. All right. And then what do we have left on the bottom? Okay. So we had an x plus 6 and another x plus 6. So we can write that, we can write that as x plus 6 squared. And then we had an x plus 1, and all that stuff was on the bottom. And that's our answer. Oh, please don't FOIL it out. That's terrible.
Why?
That is not more simple. Guaranteed that is not more simple. We're going to leave it like that. Do not FOIL. Do not FOIL. I will fight you in the parking lot.
Ooh.
I will not fight you in the parking lot, but I will.
If I did write that answer on a test, would I get it wrong?
I would give you a 0 and then I would fight you in the parking lot.
Even though it's right.
No, it is not more simple. I'm fighting you in the parking lot. Okay. All right. We got the answer for that? Make sense?
Yes.
Megan doesn't believe me. Megan, it's going to happen. You guys try to foil this out. I'm fighting you in the parking lot. I'm not even getting a grade at that.
Do it, Trevor. You won't.
That's terrible. I would totally win. I work out. Okay? All right. Just so we're clear. Just so we're clear. Are you foiling that? Do I need to fight you right now?
No.
Okay.
No. No.